We just opened, so our market just opened. Let me share my screen with you guys. All right, so market just opened Sunday night. New week is ahead of us. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a weekly time frame on both NQ and ES. All right, so I've got the weekly time frame pulled up over here. So there's a few things that I want to point out first on the weekly time frame. So first being these equal lows that were created at last week's low. Okay, so we had last week when we saw that major pullback in the market. Market correction is what it seems like it was. We created these equal lows. So now we have this sell side liquidity down here with relative to equal lows. Okay, but I also want to point out here on ES, look at the difference between what happened on NQ and what happened on ES, right? ES has really been holding us up. On NQ, we can see that we had this weekly bullish order block right here. And look how we closed below that bullish order block, completely displacing that level. If we look over here on ES, right, we can see this same exact order block. It looks a little bit different, but we traded and closed above that equilibrium of the order block. So ES is really holding us up right now. While NQ is trying to make a big drop, it was really trying to come down and grab sell side on the weekly level. ES held us up. The other level I want to point out here on NQ is this weekly bearish fair value gap, weekly SIBI, right here. So we have this weekly SIBI right there. Very key level. Okay, we have that imbalance above a bullish order block right here, or could be a bullish order block. It's not really a validated bullish order block until we would have a bearish candle come down and close below it. But something to keep our eye on there. And then over here on ES, we see the same exact level here. Weekly SIBI. All right, so we got those weekly bearish imbalances right above. Okay, but after seeing that pullback and after seeing ES keeping us up and seeing us really start to push at the end of the week, to me, it looks like we really want to keep running above. It looks like we want to keep going. And one thing I really emphasize, though, is relative to equal lows or relative to equal highs as being key levels of liquidity. So what we have to really figure out is over the course of tonight, are we going to get a reaction off of this weekly SIBI here and start to bounce down and start to create a bearish structure on our lower time frames, or are we going to just start to push right through that and inverse, start to attempt to inverse that weekly SIBI? Now, this week, I would want to see us start to push and try to basically run right through that level, but we have to really wait and react because this market has been all over the place recently. But those are the two key ideas on a weekly time frame that I'm really focused on right now, is that weekly SIBI and those relative to equal lows down there. How do we hold at these levels? So what I'm going to do now is move down to a daily time frame. Remember when we talked about that daily bearish breaker that we formed up here? High, low, higher, high, displacement of the lows. We trade down, we create an order block right here. We create a fair value gap, we trade into it, we come back down again. Down to these lows, we displace these lows, and we keep going, right? And now we have those equal lows down here as well on the daily. So daily structure to me looks extremely bearish still. Even though we had our past, few days of the week last week pull back, it still looks very bearish. We still have this daily fair value gap here, daily bearish order block here, as well as that weekly bearish fair value gap there as well. And now let's look at ES here. ES has done pretty much the same exact thing. It's come down. The only difference here is that ES did not displace this low here. Notice how we closed all the way very close to displacing. We did not displace that low. We got that pullback, right? So it looks a little bit different on ES, but just looking at NQ, we still have very bearish structure. We have not gone back to a bullish structure here. Once we closed below this low right here and created that bearish breaker or bearish unicorn with that fair value gap, our structure has been bearish. And then we came down and we took out another low, another external low, and we displaced it, right? So our structure still looks very bearish to me. We could have some more fundamental factors at play this week. We do have CPI and PPI coming out. So those could obviously really affect the way the market moves, depending on if those are positive or negative releases. So we have to remember that our fundamental analysis is going to play a big part. So Tuesday, we have our PPI. And then I believe Wednesday we have our CPI. And then going into the end of the week, Thursday, unemployment and retail. And then Friday, not as much stuff going on. So a lot of news. It's a news-heavy week. Tomorrow, we don't have to worry too much. It's more just yellow folder. But let's get back to the charts again. So just remember that even with this technical analysis, sometimes that news is going to play a big effect on what happens in the market. Okay, so daily time frame, what I care about is this fair value gap, this right here, this bearish order block right here, and then those equal lows. So very similar ideas. Let's say we were to try to push through and inverse this daily. Then we're starting to look at our buy side liquidity up here. Right, so that's our external buy side liquidity right there. And we're looking at these fair value gaps. So we're going to come up and try to sweep and try to inverse these levels. Okay, so let's go down to a 4-hour here. Let's just look at our 4-hour structure right now. Okay, starting at the highs. We create a bearish unicorn on the 4-hour. Trade into the fair value gap, come down, break structure again. Trade into a fair value gap, come down, take out some lows. Trade back up into an order block, fair value gap, come down, take out some lows, right? So we've just been dropping. Sweep buy side liquidity, come down, displace the lows again. All right, so this trend and this theme is still extremely bearish, even with this pullback down here. This pullback does not really scare me too much. It doesn't make me still think too bullish. Now, the one thing I would say would be is a power of 3 here. If you guys can see right here, we have this kind of accumulation range right here. And then we trade down and we trade above, right? So we technically almost created a power of 3. We have created a power of 3 to the upside here, but it's not a super strong displacement move up, so I'm not too worried about it. On that kind of move, I'd want to see a very strong displacement move up. Okay, so we came down 4-hour. These are all pretty much the same levels on the weekly and the daily that I'm really focused on. We can see during this drop, there's just a ton of imbalances here, right? So what we can do as well is we can kind of chart out our ranges. So let's look at this dealing range from low to high here, right? From low to high. Okay, we've traded back into a premium, right? So now we're looking for fair value gaps that are inside of the premium of this range that's going to take us back down. So I'm not too worried about the 4-hour right now because I already found these imbalances on the daily and the weekly. And we can see down here those equal lows on the 4-hour, pretty evident. We have even more equal lows, right? We created another equal low right here. So a ton of sell side liquidity, and that's why that level really interests me a lot, because we still have bearish structure on a higher time frame, and now we have all that sell side liquidity. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to a 1-hour time frame. This is where I'll start breaking it down a little bit more, right? It's just kind of hard when we have this huge drop. There's not a ton of levels. Or there is a ton of levels. I mean, there's a ton of fair value gaps. And that's when you have to start breaking it down between a premium and a discount. Which levels are we going to try and trade into? And that's why I'm so focused on the weekly and the daily as well. Because those weekly and daily timeframes are going to set the standard. They're basically going to show us exactly what we're expecting for the week. So on the hourly time frame, we've created a low, high, lower, low. We're coming back up to the highs. This is still very consolidation right here. Very consolidation. Same thing. Consolidate. Manipulate, distribute, right? But not a super strong distribution up here. We started to chop again. So now what I'm looking at on the 1-hour is just our sell side, buy side liquidity levels. Down here we have sell side, right? This is all external liquidity. And then up here we have buy side, right? So what are we looking for? Well, we're looking to see if price comes up and sweeps liquidity on either side. Let's say we come up and sweep this liquidity. We come down, we fail to displace. Now we're expecting price to drop back down and come down for the sell side liquidity. Let's say we drop here, we come down and grab sell side, and we don't displace. Now I'm expecting this to come right back up and grab buy side, because this is still technically seek and destroy right here on the hourly time frame. Notice how we come down and grab sell side, we come up and grab buy side, we come down and grab sell side, we come up, we grab buy side. Kind of a tongue twister there, right? So it's just seek and destroy. So I'd be expecting the same thing to keep happening until pretty much we see a displacement move on either side. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at there on the hourly. Then we can zoom it out a little bit, and we start to look at our more, our bigger levels. We can come down here and look at sell side liquidity down here. right? So I don't worry too much about these levels until I really see price moving towards them, like that swing low down there, right? So we have some sell side on the hourly, some external levels, and then we have those equal lows down here. Okay, so then on the buy side, what are we looking for on the hourly? Well, we don't have a lot of swing lows, but we do have these equal highs over here. Look at these two equal highs on the hourly. Let me zoom in for you. So this candle at 8 a.m. on Friday, and then, well, this was Friday, August 2nd. And then this 9 a.m. candle here, equal highs there. So now we have some buy side up here with those equal highs inside of that weekly fair value gap. Okay, so another key external level. So once we take that, we'd be expecting some kind of reaction back down, especially with these order blocks fair value gap on the hourly there. Okay, so basically what I'm saying in a nutshell here is I am waiting to see what kind of reaction we see off of this weekly imbalance above. If we get a strong reaction after sweeping buy side up here, external buy side on the hourly, I would expect us to keep dropping down to sell side and eventually come back down for those equal lows on the weekly time frame. If we push through this very aggressively and we're not seeing any kind of rejection and we continue to form bullish structure, well, I'm looking for the longs to start stepping in all the way up to the highs up here, and then further and further and further. Eventually, if we go back to a weekly, just to take us right back to all-time highs again, right? All the way up here, we can see we have all-time highs, right? So that's what I'm looking for, because until then, we don't have much stopping us. If we run through this weekly bearish fair value gap, the next one is all the way up here, and I would expect us to just keep running through that all the way back to all-time highs. So the level I'd want to see us react off of, ideally, if we were going to continue in the shorts, would be this weekly SIBI right here. That's ideally where I'd want to see us react off of to come down and grab the shorts. So that's what I'm looking at on a weekly time frame. What we can do is we can go all the way down to the 15 minute now. All right, I'm going to go all the way to the 15. I'm going to zoom it in a little bit. So 15 minute seek and destroy again. Remember we talked about that on Friday. Sell side grabbed, buy side grabbed, sell side grabbed, buy side grabbed. Right, so that's what I'm looking at right now is a continuation of seek and destroy. You can see long wick up on the 15 minutes so far, coming right back down. We already swept buy side liquidity up here, right? And you can see us trying to head right back down. Are the buys more of a possibility with a big wick to the downside on a higher time frame? Yes, so that does play a factor if you look at, like a hammer candle, right? This type of candle, you would expect the buys to try and step in, right? You would expect the longs to step in after a candle like that, after such a strong pullback, especially on a higher time frame, right? Which is why I have not counted the longs out completely. But when I'm looking at an overall structure and I see equal lows created with all of these sell stops down here, right? Higher time frame, all of these stops down here, and then I see this weekly imbalance right above, doesn't make me want to see the longs come in as much. But yes, you are correct. When you do see a long wick like that, right, that hammer candle type of candle here, especially on a weekly time frame, you would want to see the longs continue. So that's why we have to basically wait and see what kind of reaction we get off that weekly. Okay, so back to the 15 minute again. All right, look at that strong down close candle on the 15 minute time frame there that we just created. We're really starting to fall off. I mean, let's just go to the 1 minute real quick. Look at that. Look at that displacement on the 1 minute time frame here. Right, strong down close candles here at market open. Right, we had all this chop, 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 manipulate up, dump. So a little bit of a power of 3 here. Right, look at all this accumulation. This is all accumulation to me right here. All a range. We manipulate and grab that buy side, and now we're starting to dump, right? So to me, everything still looks very bearish at open. It looks like we want to go target some sell side liquidity. Right, so that's when we go down to the 5-15 minute time frame and we find swing highs, swing lows on these time frames. So looking at the 15 minute, right, we've got a swing low down here. So this is internal liquidity now. And then we've got the swing low down here. If we go down to the 5 minute, right, we've got some more swing lows here and here. I wouldn't be too worried about those levels as much because we have those 15 minute levels right next to them. But right now, we can just see we are dumping, right? We're really dropping. I wanted to see us maybe trade up into that weekly imbalance first, right? I want to see if we can come grab that buy side on top of the, inside of that weekly before starting to fall. But right now, market open, we're already starting to see some bearish movement here. So basically, let's just kind of recap. I know I've been kind of saying a lot of different things. On a recap of the weekly time frame, reading structure, overall, I still have a bearish bias. Overall, weekly time frame is still bearish bias. What I'm going to have to do is wait for rejection off of the weekly imbalance if we trade into it. And if we don't reject this at all, well, that's when my bias starts to turn bullish if we start to push through this level until we get into that bearish fair value gap up there. Okay, so right now, structure still tells me bearish because of fair value gap, equal lows. Daily time frame, because of break of structure, market structure shift, respecting bearish market structure, respecting bearish order flow, equal lows, right? So higher time frame stuff is still telling me very bearish right now. So that's what I'm seeing overall. And if we break it down to right now we're still looking very bearish as well. Look what's been happening right here. Look at that drop off. What time? Let's see when we opened. Let's see how many ticks we've fallen since open so far. All right, so we opened at 6 p.m. All right, let's just say from the top, right? From the top right there, we've already dropped over 500 ticks. So we've already seen a big drop off so far. We saw a little manipulation move up with all of this accumulation, and now we've seen us really start to fall. Okay, so I'm still expecting bearish right now. I would not be surprised, though, if we did see us kind of come up and try to grab that buy side and trade into that weekly bearish imbalance like I talked about. But as long as we look, seek, and destroy still, right, we expect us to come down and grab sell side and then come back up and grab buy side, right? So I'm pretty much just going to be watching the market tonight and leading into market open tomorrow. Because of all the stuff that's been going on recently, we've been seeing some craziness, some crazy volatility. Now we have a big data week this upcoming week with CPI and PPI. It's probably going to be another week of keeping my size pretty low and not being super aggressive until that move really shows itself to me. So do you guys have any questions, any comments about what I've been going over? Anything that, isn't too clear of what I've been talking about? I'd love to answer your questions. Just let me know. Let me know what you guys got. Yeah, big drop off so far. All right, we're just reading sell side, buy side liquidity levels. Look at that displacement on the 5-minute, creating a bearish fair value gap here. Of course, guys, of course. All right, so now we have that bearish fair value gap here on the 5-minute. I want to see if we're going to trade into that and start to fall. A little power of 3 on the 1-minute. That's where you can start to use the fib. That's not the fib. From the low to the high, right? And that's when you're looking for a pullback, possibly up to that 0.62, 0.79 golden zone. Do I expect much tomorrow with no news? Wait for Tuesday. Yeah, I don't expect too much to go on tomorrow. I would probably expect another ranging day, kind of like Friday is my expectation right now, because we only really have like a few yellow folder events coming out. And then, yeah, we do have CPI, PPI. So I'm not expecting anything too crazy tomorrow. But with the volatility we've been seeing, these ranges could still be, 1,000 ticks. They could still be 500 plus ticks. So even if we are ranging and doing seek and destroy, we could still find some very high reward setups. So that's why, I wouldn't count out trading tomorrow, because I still think we might have some good opportunity, even if we are going to, have a range day. But yes, just my assumption would be exactly what you're saying. I wouldn't assume too much. But recently, the market has really just done its own thing. Even on some no news Mondays recently, we've had crazy price action and crazy moves in the market. I forget if it was last Monday or the Monday before that, we still saw the market go crazy. So I still think there's going to be some opportunity even with, not really much news coming out. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much what I got. I might look for a trade tonight. I might look for some kind of swing trade tonight, whether that's soon or whether that's holding overnight. I'm keeping my eye on it right now just to kind of see. I want to read how the market is first before I jump into any trades, or if I do take any trades. But I'm definitely interested in taking a swing trade tonight, depending on if the market does what I want it to do. What I kind of want to see is for us to come up into that weekly and then start to dump, grab buy side and then maybe take some shorts back down. But we'll have to wait and see. Can you show your fib settings real quick? Of course. Boom. Fib retracement right there. If you want to take a picture of that, screenshot it. That's all you. Let me know when you're all good. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much all I got. Pretty simple idea, pretty simple plan going into this week. So basically, weekly sell side target would be those equal lows down here. That would be my weekly sell side target. If we're going to run through this, weekly buy side would probably be coming up. If we look at a daily time frame, would be these highs up here and into that daily order block up top. I haven't for a while, but I've actually been thinking about doing more of it. I've been thinking about doing more of that, trying to find trades right at market open on Sundays. Yeah, we could have had there could have been a good setup here. But yeah, no, there can be some pretty solid setups at market open on Sunday, so I might start thinking about doing that a little more often. So we'll see. Tonight, I'm going to be looking at the market. Might find a good setup, might not. I'm hoping to find one. Start off the week hot with the good swing trade. But yeah, guys, that's what I got for you tonight. So I hope you enjoyed. If you don't have any more questions, any more comments, I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to post this session on YouTube, and I'll send it into live recordings for you guys if you want to go back and maybe watch a certain part that you were a little bit confused by. But yeah, God bless. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Hope you rest up and get prepared for this week. I'm really excited for this week. Another week of trading. All right, let's take advantage of it. Let's keep that positive mindset, and let's keep trying to add on to our winning. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you. I will see you all in the morning, or you might hear from me tonight about any possible swing trades. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.